Hey fellow Star Wars fans, how's it going? It's Robbie once again with Star Wars HQ and GameVerb.com, and we are talking about all things Star Wars Battlefront, and we have some super exciting news about Star Wars Battlefront and actually another upcoming Star Wars game. But before I get into that, I have to remind you all that we are still doing our Star Wars Next Gen giveaway for the PS4 and Xbox One. If you are interested in winning a copy of Star Wars Battlefront for either of these consoles, go ahead and leave your comment below. Let me know what you think of Star Wars Battlefront, and most importantly, leave your first name, your Xbox Live gamer tag, and your PSN ID, and I will be selecting one lucky random winner from the comments below and letting you guys know in an upcoming video who will win Star Wars Battlefront for next-gen consoles. So if you want to know who the winner is, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, and we also do some really good content. We get some great community feedback which we feature in every single video. I love your guys' comment, and we're actually going to be getting into a lot of your comments today, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's get into the Star Wars Battlefront news. Actually, believe it or not, this news about Microsoft stores posting up the pre-order for Star Wars Battlefront is very real. I'm so excited that this has happened because it can mean one thing. We might be seeing Star Wars Battlefront in 2014, and I know EA has come out and they said that they're going to be releasing the game out in 2015, but realistically, what EA would love to do is they would love to rotate Battlefield 1 year and then the next release Star Wars Battlefront, and I think they're aiming to do just that in some way. And the pre-order has a small little snippet, and the description for Star Wars Battlefront on the Microsoft Store says relive and participate in all of the classic Star Wars battles like never before, play as one of a number of different soldier types, jump into any vehicle, man any turret on the battlefront, and conquer the galaxy, planet by planet. And man, does that not remind you of Star Wars Battlefront. And curiously, this is ending up on the Microsoft Store first, which could be a hint of how Microsoft might be putting some money into EA's pocket to get exclusive deals on DLC first on the Xbox One. But I am positive this game will be multi-platform and will be on the PC and the PS4 and of course the Xbox One. I just don't expect it to be an Xbox One exclusive. That would be huge for Microsoft, but I'm actually hoping that it isn't. I want everyone to be experiencing Star Wars Battlefront, of course. So this is really cool news. The release date doesn't really matter on this image, of course. It says December 31st, 13th. That's just a placeholder date, just to get the information in the site. But again, realistically, we could be seeing a 2014 release date, especially if EA is using some sneaky tactics here. I am sure they want to go head-to-head with Call of Duty. Call of Duty has yearly releases, and they make a lot of money off those releases. So what they're thinking is they want DICE to be pushing out Star Wars Battlefront one year and Battlefield the next year, and I think it is a great idea. I don't think that there would be any franchise fatigue from doing that. In fact, we could see Star Wars Battlefront one year, Bad Company 3 the next year, and then rotate back and forth. I just think it would be so awesome. And of course, we have a lot of other Star Wars games to look forward to from BioWare and Visceral Games, so that will be really cool. Those companies are very, very talented at what they do. They brought us Dead Space 3 and Mass Effect, so again, there's a lot to look forward to in terms of Star Wars and gaming. I can't wait. And then, of course, outside of Star Wars Battlefront, we have some amazing news about Star Wars from EA once again. Actually, this time it's about an open world Star Wars game. You heard right. We are going to be getting an open world Star Wars game. I don't know how soon we're going to be getting this, but EA Canada is working on an open world Star Wars title according to several recent job postings for the studio. This is super exciting because I think they could do a lot with an open world. In fact, Coruscant, I personally think, would be the perfect environment for a Star Wars open world. It actually houses the Star Wars underworld, also known as 1313. I think that might sound very, very familiar to many of you. Star Wars 1313 was another game by LucasArts that was just canceled, and it is such a shame we won't be seeing that game. But again, if they do an open world game in the Star Wars universe on Coruscant, they would be able to fit Star Wars 1313 right in there, and also include the Jedi, the Sith, and a lot of the cool political climate associated with Star Wars. There's two major players in the Star Wars universe, and they are the Senate and the Jedi, and they are both on Coruscant. And it would just be so cool to see their interaction in peace and wartime, and really be in between that. And in the films, we saw bounty hunters and mercenaries roaming around Coruscant, so you would have so many different elements. It's just the perfect environment for an open world Star Wars game. You would have a lot of vehicles flying through the air and a lot of variety, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route they're taking, because they want to play it safe at first, believe it or not. And I don't think that they're going to take the approach of doing multiple planets because of what happened with the Old Republic by BioWare. They want to play it a little bit safe at first, and of course safe for EA is going to the extreme, and I think that if they have a very successful product at first, they could do so much more on their second installment of an open world Star Wars game. So I'm really hopeful for this, because it's going to be by a very talented developer, I'm hearing. It's going to be the Visceral Games developer. They work on Dead Space, and they are just so talented. They brought a lot to the table with Dead Space, and I do think this is going to be a little bit more mature of a Star Wars game, which is also something that a lot of people have been wanting. I've actually wanted it. My brothers and I have actually discussed extensively that the new movie should be a little bit darker and a little bit grittier in terms of look only. We're not talking about story here, because I do think they need to keep that lightheartedness associated with Star Wars. I think they did an excellent job with that with the original Star Wars films. I'm not going to be talking about the newer films here, but they did a superb job with that, and I hope we see something like that in this open world game. But again, let me know what you guys want to see from an open world Star Wars, and I will be featuring your comments in the upcoming video. And now it's time to get into the top comments from you. That's right, you, the community. You leave some excellent comments in my Star Wars videos, and I always highlight the best comments. You guys have some great ideas, so let's get to it. But first, we have Who Else Wants Star Wars Death Troopers the game. They are a Facebook page, and these are the guys that created the very popular Facebook page called Who Else Wants Star Wars Battlefront 3, and they were pushing Star Wars Battlefront 3 before EA actually got their hands on the game. But they are also pushing an idea for a Star Wars Death Troopers game, and what that actually is a Star Wars survival horror game, and it's a very interesting premise. I don't know if we will ever see anything quite like this, but if they get enough likes on Facebook, I do believe we will see some sort of seasonal DLC for fall or something like that around October, because Red Dead Redemption and a lot of games support zombies because they're just so damn popular. And I could see why. I can understand why zombies are popular. I've watched The Walking Dead, and that's an excellent show, and I think Star Wars can do something great with it. And Star Wars Death Troopers was actually a novel that was published and supported by the actual Star Wars name. So that's something really hinting that this could be a possibility in terms of DLC. I don't think it's going to be a full game, but I do think it could be a very good possibility. We will see it as a DLC. And it's so popular that we have a Death Trooper costume that I found here. This is awesome. It's great to see this. This gives you an idea of what to expect if we see some sort of DLC for Star Wars Death Troopers. And again, let me know if you actually want to see this in the comments below. I'm very curious. I don't know the general feel, but by this, I mean, it looks extremely popular and would be very cool to see. I think we might actually see something like this because Star Wars is getting more mature and they're experimenting a lot more. They're bringing a lot to the table in terms of TV shows and other products, so this could be a very good possibility. But if you want to see Star Wars Death Troopers, give them a like and a shout out on Facebook. I'm gonna include the link in the description. You could check them out. I do think it's a very cool idea. So now let's get into the top comments from you guys, the community. I always highlight them in every single video, so leave your comments below, and I do reply to you guys, and you guys have some excellent ideas. And the first one is actually a question. It comes from R Shadow Man. I've actually heard this question a lot, and they say, can anyone confirm this? I got an email that said that Battlefront 3 release date is going to be just in a few months prior to the next Star Wars film. But I have another source that said the game would be out after the film because parts of the game were going to be in the film. Has anyone else heard anything? And it's interesting you mentioned this because I completely understand where you're coming from, because anyone would actually think naturally that the Star Wars games are going to be totally associated with the Star Wars films, and that's not going to be the case. Electronic Arts has come out and they have said that the Star Wars games are not going to be associated at all with the upcoming Star Wars films, that they are working on brand new Star Wars IPs that are completely separate from the Star Wars films, and I think that is excellent for the development process of their games. Why? Because it gives them so much freedom. They don't have to be tied down to anything related to the films. They don't have to get their information constantly checked by the writers from the films. They don't have to really connect with the directors, the writers, and a lot of the other talent from the films, which speeds up the process. And the big bonus is the release window is completely free for them. They can choose their release date, and it doesn't have to be 2015 anymore. I always thought that Star Wars Battlefront was going to be tied down to a 2015 release date because of the films, but that just is not the case anymore, which is actually super exciting. So again, what you heard actually is a complete rumor. Don't listen to these rumors. If anything does come out about Star Wars Battlefront, it's usually from Electronic Arts and DICE. Those are the guys you want to focus on, and they also include DICE, EA, Visceral Games, and BioWare. If you hear any different from anyone else and they're not sourcing out to these publishers and developers, you know that's probably a complete rumor. So again, just pay attention to the news. I always source my information out, but if I do hear a rumor, I will report on a rumor, but I will say it is a rumor. And here's a comment from Undead Media, and he goes on to say, also, my favorite Star Wars character was probably Commander Cody from Revenge of the Sith. Firstly, because he is a clone trooper, and they are beyond awesome, and second, his armor looks really amazing, which I totally agree about, by the way. It's almost as good as the Jet Trooper armor from the first Battlefront. I really hope Visceral do a Death Troopers game as well. The book is amazing, definitely worth a read. And again, as you could see, I didn't even mention Death Troopers at all in my previous videos, and we have a comment about Death Troopers, so I do think it's going to be very popular. And Commander Cody is actually one of my favorite Star Wars characters as well, along with a lot of the cast from the Clone Wars animated TV series. I just absolutely love that series. I do wish, sort of, that it was a movie, but I think they did such an excellent job, and I can't tell you guys how excited I am for Star Wars Rebels, the TV animated series. And if you're on the fence about saying that you like an animated series, I'm going to tell you one thing. These animated series have some very, very good storytelling to them, and they go beyond children's stories, really. They're both for adults and children, and I just love that about Star Wars because it's not too dark, it has humor, it has great storytelling, and most importantly, it has great characters at the base of all of this, and I'm really excited about Star Wars Rebels. And again, yeah, Death Troopers, it'd be very cool to see as a DLC, or Visceral Games, they've done horror games, so you never know. Star Wars is just an open book right now, anything can happen with it. And this is a very interesting comment. It comes from Wilfer88, and he goes on to say, Jedi mode in Battlefront 3 sounds fun, but what about Mandalorian mode? Everyone has jetpacks. It would be a lot like the upcoming Titanfall game, and it would fit Star Wars. And I have to say, I am hugely excited about Titanfall. We're actually going to be covering it here. You could check us out on youtube.com/gameverb and to subscribe to us. We're going to be covering that because I think it fits well into Star Wars. Of course, our main focus is Star Wars anymore, and for good reason. And I think Mandalorian mode actually makes a lot of sense, but I think they're going to take it a step further and include it as a class in the game where you can have a jetpack as either the support role or the specialist, and possibly some sort of C4, because I can just imagine being able to use the jetpack floating up above the battlefield, throwing down C4, or using rocket launchers and taking out a lot of vehicles in that manner. I do think that they're going to try something like that, because they do like the videos from the community that shows Battlefield 4 stunts and a lot of really crazy stuff and deaths and kills. So I think they're going to even push that further with Battlefront. So again, that's a great idea. Leave your comments below, and I will be featuring them in every single video. And thanks guys for watching, and just as a reminder, we are still doing our Star Wars giveaway. Again, if you would like to enter in our Star Wars Battlefront Next Gen giveaway for the PS4 or Xbox One, leave your Xbox Live gamer tag or PSN ID below with your first name, and I will be selecting one lucky random winner from the comments below. And leave a good comment. I will highlight your guys' comments. I really enjoy reading them, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.